And you're welcome along to another edition of Tipp Cast with myself, Shane Brophy, sports editor of the Underage, joined this week by the sports editor of Tipp FM, Paul Carroll. Paul, welcome to the show.
Shane, how are you?
Good, Paul. The hardest working man in local media. So last week he was in Thurles on Saturday night and in London a couple of hours later. It was how did it work out for you? Like it's a long scramble, but a small world when you can get a quick flight to London and back, and it's like you're nearly getting on a bus at this stage.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend. Finished up, late night on Saturday evening down in Thurles. Bit of traffic on the way home. Get home, sleep up at 5:30 up to Dublin Airport. I had picked Dublin Airport to fly to Heathrow just with the way the game was meant to start at 2:00, and flight times back to Shannon didn't suit. And then the game got changed to 1:00. So lo and behold, I could have flown from Shannon, but the flights were already booked from Dublin. So up to Dublin I went, and yeah, 'tis seamless enough. Like if anyone hasn't been to McGovern Park, it's a 15-minute taxi from Heathrow. Like so, 'tis very close. Once you get to Heathrow, you're pretty much there. But my biggest worry was the commentary equipment I have. I didn't bring the charger over with it, and I had it charged up to 100%, and went on the plane, whatever, didn't have the charger with me. You get away with, you can only do 2 games on 100%. And when I got to Heathrow, I was getting my phone charger out of my bag. And when I opened my bag, I saw that commentary equipment was turned on. And my heart dropped straight away because I didn't know how long that had been on for. So the battery had gone down to around 60%. So I was very fortunate I saw that, because otherwise, if I didn't open my bag, I would have been, after flying over to London, to do a commentary on a football match, and my commentary equipment would have been out of battery by the time the match started. So it wasn't all bad, and we got an entertaining game for a finish. So not a bad weekend.
Yeah, we might just touch with the footballers. That we're recording this on Friday morning, and the Tipperary team has this 26 has been announced to play Antrim on Sunday in round 2. Like we would assume there'll be changes, which there was from the 26. That was I'll just put it up on screen here. That was announced that played last week. Like Stephen O'Brien came into the team. There would have been Sigerson Cup matches this week involving the likes of Dahi Hogan and Charlie King, and players who would have gone off through injury as well. So just in terms of the footballers, like started away with a draw. I was listening to a lot of it. Like it was followed a trend where London seemed to go 4-5 up. Tip came back, get within 1, and London pull away again, and looked like we were going to run out of time. But hopefully it's a sign of things to come. But we do look like a team that are going to exploit the new 2-point arc. I think was it 5 of them we got last weekend with Charlie Smith getting the equaliser at the end.
Yeah, 5 of them, yeah. And I think what we're going to get with this Tip team seems to be entertainment anyway. They never came to grips, as Niall Fitzgerald even said himself in the post-match interview, never came to grips with the London half-forward line at all. If you look at it, Joe McGill, 6 points, Daniel Clark, 6 points, and Christian Healy, 3 points. And, particularly Daniel Clark and Christian Healy, all of those would have been from play. So Tip never really got to grips with that. But then at the other end, as you said, 5 2-pointers for Tipperary, 3 for Shawnee O'Connor. And some of Shawnee's ones in particular were just, a quick hand pass to him, half a step, and the shot is away, and the ball is sailing high over the posts, over the bar. And he got 3 of them, Shawnee, so 9 points for him. Keane Smith got the leveler, last kick of the game, 7 points for him on the day. And when Tip moved in transition, they looked really, really dangerous. And that's why I say I think we're going to have an exciting Tipperary team this year. One thing to kind of note, I suppose, was that Tip actually had options off the bench, which maybe hasn't been the case in the last couple of years. You look at the likes of Mark Stokes was named to start, but Stephen O'Brien started instead of him. But him coming on, Paddy O'Keefe come on, Micheál Freeney come on and kicked a big 2-pointer as well. So you have exciting forwards on the bench as well, which maybe we haven't had in recent years. And Dara Brennan is another name to kind of mention there. He was named in the 26th at the last minute last weekend, still recovering back from an injury. As far as I'm aware, so he's another really, really good forward as well. So they do have a lot of exciting players that can definitely hurt teams. It's just young team and probably getting that little bit of a defensive solidity in, and it's a learning process. Very young team, 7 lads debuted last week, so you're never going to expect a complete performance. But I think from those who were there, we saw enough to be a little bit excited about, and the fact that they come away with a point when it really didn't look like they're going to come away with anything for large parts of that game.
Yeah. Like I just think it's the where Tip are at the moment. It's the third year in a row we failed to beat London. So 2 draws and a defeat. Like it's look, London are not the gimme they were maybe 10 or more years ago. Like they're you said you named the half forward line and the quality of scores they're getting there. There's a bit of a community feel to it. Like there's more and more homegrown Londoners. It's not just maybe lads landing over for a year or two from Ireland and linking in, like, so, like, they're, but like there's definitely a feel with Tip and the youthful verve of it, like, and like they're still, maybe apart from Paddy Feehan and Luke Boland and Stephen O'Brien and a few, that there's guys still growing into their bodies. And look, if we're going to play this attacking style, you're going to leave yourself open at the back, and I suppose that's that kind of risk reward stuff. And I think I even we're at their peak maybe in the last 10 years, and I think it's an element of maybe, yeah, but like in a county where football is very much second to hurling, what's going to attract the floating supporter is playing attractive football, even in defeat. Like, make it appealing, even for the guys to commit to the team, make it enjoyable. Like, okay, I don't think strategically, okay, you have to set yourself up well and structured, but not but go out and play attractive football. I think that's going to get people in through the turnstiles more often than not.
Yeah, and as I said, they have a lot of attractive footballers as well, and in terms of how they play, and like it's probably been a long time since we've had 7 odd Tipperary lads involved in Sigerson Cup action. Sean O'Connor played with UCC a couple of years ago, and there's been 1 or 2 more, but with David Powers UL, who were into the semi-finals, Dahi Hogan got a last-minute goal to keep them in it against Maynooth the other day and send it to extra time. Charlie King is starting on that team. Killian Butler getting game time, Miho Franey, a few more of them. So that's a really good sign. Not that just we have exciting players that are at a good level here in Tipperary, but the fact that they're playing Sigerson as well and getting to the last 4, that's a really good sign. And yeah, there is very exciting players, and it's great to watch. Like the 2-pointers has really changed it. Like there a couple of years ago, I always remember a game up in Longford, and it was the late Philly Ryan who was on co-commentary with me, and the first half of that game in particular was a real chore to kind of watch. And we remarked about it on commentary, but you don't have that anymore. Tip were 5 points down with 7 or 8 minutes to go. Other years, that's kind of game. You're not going to be able to really get 2 goals against a team with 15 men behind the ball. Whereas now, anytime Tip went down by 5, 2 quick pointers came, or 2-pointer and a 1-pointer came very quickly, and suddenly it's back to a 1-score game. So I think the new rules have really added to the spectacle as a whole, and then you add to the style of play Tip are trying to play is also an attractive brand. And as I said, particularly when they move that ball quickly, because they do have a lot of really speedy players in there. Dahi Hogan, absolutely kind of rapid, a lot of good runners with the ball, and Shawnee O'Connor deadly as well. So yeah, look, it's a point. Some people, as you said, could look at that and say, God, they're not even beating London. But London have been very good, particularly at home in Division 4. And that's where we're at.
I think they beat Wicklow at home last year, like in Wicklow.
And that cost Wicklow promotions. So and they lost maybe a couple of other games by a point over there. So it's always tight over there. First game of the year, it's not easy.
Yeah, and this Sunday they play Antrim at home. Antrim supposed to surprisingly lost to Carlow last weekend at home. It's hard to know with Antrim at the moment. Like they have a new management team. Andy McEntee has moved on, and it's the thing with Antrim. They have very, very good players, but you kind of don't know from one year to the other whether you're going to get the good Antrim or the bad Antrim. Okay, maybe we're 1 game in. We don't know how maybe good Carlow are. I think Carlow will be decent this year with their new manager who was previously involved with Naas. Like I think Carlow will be. I think Carlow are the dark horse in division. But like if Tip are going to make a run at promotion, winning your home games, and look, Tip over the next 3 games they have Antrim, they have Carlow and Longford. Like if they could pick 5, maybe 6 points out of that going into the tougher games at the back end, like they have a chance, and a chance, particularly with a team that's maybe gaining confidence as well.
Yeah, and the fact that it's the same team that's named as well, you kind of like that solidity, and that if that can build, like we saw with the hurlers maybe last year, where by the end of the league everyone could tell you that the Tipperary is starting
Mm.
at 15. If we see something similar like that building into the Tip footballers, I think that'd be a good thing as well. But yeah, the home games are really crucial. Tip have 4 of them compared to 3 away. They've got 1 point away, but getting a point away is going to do you no good if you don't get any points in your home games. So interesting as well that it's on in Semple Stadium. Niall Fitzgerald said that that's where he wanted the games to be played. Just suits the style of play they want to play a bit better. So I was down at some of the games they had in Clonmel last year, and brilliant kind of atmosphere there for them. So you're going to lose that when you're in Semple Stadium, even if you do have 1,000 or 2,000 people at it. It's kind of lost in Semple Stadium. But Antrim were down, I think, 2 years ago against Tip, I remember, and very kind of a very fast team is what I noticed on that day. Now, I haven't seen Antrim since, so I'm not sure if they have the same personnel or whatever, but they'll be hurting after losing that first game. It's a long trip down for them. So, Tip do have the advantage coming in here, but I don't think our record against Antrim has been all too great in the last couple of years. So, hopefully lads can pull it out. And it is a little bit frustrating that it's on the exact same time as the hurlers, because it's impossible to get to both games, obviously.
Yeah, I think I saw them against last time. I think we were both up there when they played in the Tailteann Cup 2 years ago. It was a very, very good game in Corrigan Park, and I thought Antrim were a very athletic team. I think that Antrim team went to the semi-finals, but I think that's the thing with Antrim. Sometimes it all depends on their year. Like you can have a good Antrim that ends up in top end of Division 3, or you have an Antrim team that goes back to Division 4. So it'll be interesting to see what Antrim team we get on Sunday. As you mentioned, Paul, just before we move on to the hurling, I suppose congratulations to the high school in Clonmel and then the Abbey in Tiptown. They're in Munster schools finals, the one semi-finals last week. So like the secondary school scene in Tipperary is flying it, and their finals are on the weekend after next. The high school are playing Tralee CBS and Mallow, and the Abbey are playing Carberry.
Way down to the Tip Cork match in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It's on in Mallow at 1:30, and Tip Cork is at 7:30.
Oh, it's worked out. It's worked out well there. So I don't know, maybe it's probably I don't know whether there's a curtain raiser for the Cork hurling match or something that weekend. So they're unlikely to be changed. But yeah, it'll be a nice mini kind of a double header for anybody looking to make a day of it down to Cork. As I say, moving on to hurling, as you say, 2:00 on Sunday, Tipperary go to Offaly in round 2 of the hurling league. We don't have a team as yet. That'll be anybody that's listening. Is due to be named on Friday night. But before we maybe look at Offaly, we just go back to last Saturday night. A good win over Galway. I think we all expected a sort of a hungry, eager Galway that will have come out with a point to prove. You'd even know about the management after 10 minutes how Micheál Donoghue and Noel Larkin were fighting for every ball. Like they put a lot of store. I think they would have gotten a lot out of it, but I definitely while Tipperary probably didn't click fully, that champions mentality came to the fore in the last minutes when the match was there to be won. That bit of muscle memory from last year got home.
Yeah, that was probably the most pleasing thing about it. That Tip were kind of stuttering along throughout the game. Yeah. Then that last kind of 15 minutes, they really kind of clicked into gear. The movement for that Conor Stakelum or Dara Stakelum goal was really impressive, and Jake Morris led throughout. So for Tip, that was the real pleasing thing for supporters, that on a real dirty day against a young, eager Galway team, they could have, maybe just sat back and not gone after the game. But I think the way these lads are training and the kind of culture that's built into this Tipperary team, that they go after everything. And that last 15 minutes was really, really impressive. And from the minute that goal went in, you kind of felt this is it now, that they're gonna shove on. But I was really impressed with Galway. I think it's kind of a change in the guard for Galway. We saw a lot of the 2017 Galway team kind of in and out of the lineup the last 2 years, but I think now it's maybe more of a clean slate with 4 or 5 new lads coming in, and they've had their successes underage as well throughout schools hurling and intercounty for Galway. So I was really impressed with Killian Traers in the defence. Rory Burke, 1-3 for him. Aaron Nyland was kind of threatening at times, but never really kind of hit the heights, hit a few wides, got that locked down brilliantly by Cathal O'Reilly, and Jason Rabbit showed really well.
Jason Rabbit for me was and Trayers. They were the two for me that
Yeah.
really stood out.
Yeah, and
I
Gavin
suppose
Lee.
they have the size, like they're.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go on, Paul.
Yeah, I was just saying Gavin Lee is another one. He's been there last kind of couple of years now, but he's real classy hurler when he's on the ball. And you saw when Kyle Mannion came on as well, he kind of just plays the game at his own leisure, and it's all very easy to him. He looked really good when he came on. But I think if you're a Galway supporter, you're never going to be happy losing to Tipperary, but there's lots to be positive about in terms of the performances of those young lads. And likewise for us here in Tip, like Cathal O'Reilly, I was surprised when the team was named that Cathal O'Reilly was playing just because of his age and maybe his size and things like that. But the performance he put in was really, really good. He's real confident on the ball and confident in everything he does. So it brings that.
And he's not fazed by anything. And I remember, I love the fact, and it's been remarked by a few people, that when the bit of a scrap came in the middle of the second half, he wasn't scared to maybe get involved and back up the rest of the lads. Like, so I just thought, like, there's a great bit of stuff in this lad, and like you've spoken to Mike, I can only remark that the choice of captains that James Woodlock had for those two minor teams are no coincidence that Sam O'Farrell and Cathal O'Reilly, they're practically the same. They're brilliant young men. There's no crap about them. They're just ooze leadership, like, without having to say an awful lot. Like, and it's a credit to James Woodlock for spotting guys like that. And they're just, and you can see they've taken to senior hurling. Okay, Sam is in his second year, but Cathal, after one game, took to it expertly.
Yeah, and like I even look back at it when after Saturday night's game, like when they won the minor Munster final, was it 18 months ago or around that, maybe not even 2 years ago. I interviewed Cathal on the field in Gaelic grounds, and he looked like a kid, like, he was a small minor, and it's not even 2 years since then, and to see him now performing at senior intercounty level is unreal. But as you said, it's a good point there about him and Sam. Like, they're both kind of cool, calm, collected kind of characters with a bit of bite in them as well. Like, we've seen that from Sam, that there is a good bit of bite in him as well. But yeah, brilliant first performance from him, and it was kind of a nice matchup as well that he was on someone similar to his age. He wasn't going in there marking a real seasoned intercounty inside forward. So it was a kind of a nice way for him to integrate into the starting 15.
Yeah, and I suppose on the flip side, it just didn't go for Jack Leamy last weekend. I actually reviewing, I don't think he touched the ball. He won a free all right under a dropping ball, but just one of those games, like, just didn't. I don't know whether he was nerves or what. Just never got to the pitch of it. And I think he learned from it. The trouble is, ideally, I'd love to throw him straight back in next Sunday against Offaly. He might do, but then there's also a thing of Liam Cahill saying, look, you can't be. You need to earn your second chance, and maybe somebody else will get a go. And we saw Paddy McCormack came on. He assisted in 2 points. Stephen Tobin looked lively when he came on. It's like I'd be thinking if Jason Ford was on the bench or didn't get used, I would think Jason's probably going to get minutes this weekend, maybe looking ahead to Cork the following Saturday. So it's just tough for the chap, but like he's too good of a hurler maybe not to bounce back from it.
Yeah, you'd certainly like to think that anyway. It was a difficult first out, and you'd love to say different, but just as you said, the ball it didn't come his way that too many times, and sometimes you need that just first possession just to settle you in and new surroundings at senior intercounty level. So disappointing for Jack, but we all kind of saw his quality throughout his underage career and particularly with Golden last year. So you'd hope he will get that second chance. But as you said, Jason Ford will be looking to get game time now. John McGrath in the next few weeks, whenever he comes back, you likes of Shawnee Kennelly there as well. Paddy McCormack, Stephen Tobin, who came on, the likes of Dara Stakelum will be looking for a start now after his second half. So that's the environment that's in there at the minute for Tipperary, that if you don't go well, that second chance isn't going to be handed to you. And to be fair to Jack, like, his first chance wasn't handed to him. I'd imagine he was given that start because he's going really well in training and challenge matches and things like that. So, look, a really difficult night for hurling. It can fall like that, particularly when you're in the inside forward line. If you're out in the half forward line and the ball's not coming your way, you can get involved with
And
rucks.
he was, and he, yeah, and he was kind of the floater. Like it looked like Darren and Oshin were trying to stay in, and like that can happen when you're sort of given that floater, come out towards the half hour line, get out on the ball, and sometimes it just doesn't fall your way like that. And it was probably the area of the field that we probably had the least experience. Apart, like Jake and Andrew were fantastic, but then you'd say Oshin O'Donoghue's still only in his second year, and like I thought he did great battle with Trayers, but definitely Trayers won it. Darren McCarthy didn't probably have his most dominant game. Look, he's in a busy time with UL as well, so there's a past there. He's still young as well. He's still growing into himself. Like so, yeah, probably in terms of, we said 10 guys making their debut or 10 starters. Like, it was definitely in the forward line where maybe there wasn't that much of experience either.
Yeah, and like it's funny, the 10 starters from last year's All Ireland, that kind of gives off an impression of a very experienced team. But then when you actually go down through, the likes of a Robert Doyle, second year with the senior team, Sam O'Farrell, second year, Oisin O'Donoghue, Tara Stakem, a lot of lads who have got great experience from last year, but are still relatively inexperienced in an overall sense. So a young Tipperary team, but they've been growing the last 12 months together, and it is nice that you can have that there's a lot of young lads coming, and they've been kind of coming together the last few years with that under-20 team as well. So to see all them developing at the same time is exciting. But just throughout the team as well, I thought Brian O'Mara was very good at centre-back and in that kind of sweeping role. We've seen him there before in the last couple of years, and he was impressive to me. And I was kind of sick in that Joe Caesar seemed to come off with a bit of an injury. He's one player this year that I'm very excited to see how he goes. But from the more experienced side of things, Seamus Kennedy, I thought was really good. The point he got at the end was particularly sweet. But those players are so important, I think, for more important than I think we even realize. The likes of Seamus Kennedy, Noel McGrath, Jason Ford, John McGrath, Ronan Maher, these experienced players, because with all those young lads coming through, they have lads that they can bounce ideas off. They can look up to. You often hear Gary Neville and them lads talking about the class of '92 with United. When they came through, they had the likes of Steve Bruce and these fellas who'd won the league before to bounce ideas off and show them the way. So I think that's actually really important for Tipperary, that yes, we have all these nice young lads coming through, but don't forget the lads that have been there and done that and how important they are.
Yeah, and sure. Moving on to this Sunday against Offaly, and as we're recording, the Tipperary team hasn't been confirmed yet. I think it's Friday night. It's due to come. I suppose I'm fascinated to see the line out, just because the Cork match is coming next Saturday, and we saw how quick the surface is in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Unbelievable! They're bouncing the ball off the ground.
You nearly want to be putting out two different teams. It's like the lads who play the Sunday, like it's going to be energy sapping up in Tullamore. Like the conditions are soft, and then you're going down to Páirc Uí Chaoimh for it's going, even if it's going to be a deluge, it's going to be a firm track. So, and we saw against Cork, you want legs as well. So I'd be fascinated to see. I won't say a beat in, but like, you want to put out a strong enough team to get the win and leave yourself strong enough to go down to Cork, or will the managers say, no, we'll go to Offaly, we'll make sure we get the 2 points up there. Even if we put out a strong team against Cork, there's no guarantee we're going to get 2 points. Do you go all in for Offaly, get the 2 points, and at least have 4 on the board going down to Cork? I think that for me will be the interesting part of how we line up.
It's fascinating, really, because it's 3 games in 3 weeks. So I don't think any player will be expected to play all 3 of those games. So you'd expect there's going to be some rotation. But it's interesting because I don't think they'll be taking Offaly for granted whatsoever, given how Offaly performed against Kilkenny, and they're at home, and there's
it's a big deal for them to be back in Division 1 and their first home game back in Division 1. Like they have their issues with third level players as well, but like they'll be. And they're playing the All-Ireland champions. This is a big one for them.
Yeah, that's why I think you need that mix of some of the experienced lads, and then having a few lads who are really chomping at the bit that they're given their chance and they have to take it. So you'll probably see a bit of a blend Owen Connolly is someone as well. I'm not sure his own injured or that. He wasn't involved last week.
He's on the 26th.
Yeah,
He
was on the
played
26th
against
last
Kerry.
week.
So
yeah, so you'd be maybe expecting someone like him. I don't think Craig Morgan is going to be back in time just yet, but there is
Joe Caesar and Robert Doyle probably unlikely to be there, and
yeah,
probably I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether the fifth semi-finals are next midweek. I think Dara Stakelum and Peter McGarry are the only two that are officially finished from the quarterfinals. So
yeah.
you're probably thinking those two guys are probably going to be pushing to get into the start, and it will probably feature prominently on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, that they're clear road ahead of them now in terms of it's all with Tipperary for the next while. So I can't wait to see this team, and even I'm interested to see who'll be in goals, because we've seen the last couple of years Liam has kind of played maybe one or two games with one goalkeeper, moved to the next one for one or two games, and then come championship it's or late league it's decided. So I wonder, will he stick with Rhys Shelley for the whole league, or will he give Barry or Brian Hogan a chance? So when the team is announced later this evening, I'll be looking straight to the number one spot, and then to see who else is kind of come in around the team. But it's great. And there's probably going to be there was 4 debuts last weekend. There maybe might be 4, but you'd certainly expect the likes of maybe an Adam Daly or a Conor Martin to get a bit of game time as well. Who else was on the bench? Cahill English from last week as well. So I'd expect maybe 2-3 debuts as well.
Yeah, and you're probably thinking, look, Robert Doyle, Joe Caesar probably out, and you're saying Darren McCarthy, Sam O'Farrell played. I don't know who all played Fitz during the week. Is there? Would you put them out again? Probably not. You probably keep them maybe in reserve, maybe for not in reserve, but maybe you put them on the bench, but then you need a bit of strength. You probably would. Conor Martin probably like for like with Robert Doyle. Okay, I'm not saying like for like, but we've seen Conor in terms of he's playing cornerback. You could slot Michael Breen into fullback, Conor Martin in the corner. You probably I think Cahill O'Reilly, I'd say, it's probably nailed on to start again, just because I think he's made for Screeney. If I know Screeney came off during the week for UL, but that'd be a fantastic. He's just in terms of his size, he's kind of made for him. Willie Connors, Conor Stakelum middle of the field, and you say Jason Ford. We haven't seen Jason at all in any of the preseason games or in the challenge matches, so it's probably a game where Jason. I was looking at him doing some of the stuff on the sideline, probably coming in there. Josh Keller's probably another one. You're probably thinking if Sam Farrell has to come out, maybe if you're going to rest him, maybe Josh Keller would probably slot in there, maybe wing forward or even in the middle of the field. I thought Josh was very, very lively again now last Saturday. Okay, probably got held up in the tackle a bit, but he wasn't being going backwards. He's still willing to try and break the line, and I think his ability to his role in the team will be you get the ball and you carry and you lay it off to the guys who'll finish.
And I think he's kind of happy to do that and has a good feel for that as well, about kind of knowing where lads are when he's taking a ball into the tackle. If he breaks the tackle, he knows where the pop-off hand pass is. If he doesn't, we saw it last week where he's able to take it into contact, drag in a defender or two, and then go backwards and pop it to a free man. But it's when you're going down through the team, it's difficult, for Liam Callan, and there's so much things to balance. You want to win the game, number one. You don't want to be putting too much time into some of the lads who do have Fitzgibbon, and you want to keep some lads maybe fresh for next week as well. So it's going to be a difficult team for Liam Callan and the lads to name, because there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a few injuries in there at the minute that you wouldn't want anymore. Brian McGrath is someone that I thought would feature a lot in the league. Got that injury against Kerry. Alan Tynan now is injured. There's a few niggly injuries then with the likes of Craig Morgan, and Ronan is yet to come back. Noah McGrath, when will we see his kind of return? So there's a few players there not available through injury or otherwise, and add Joe Caesar and Robert Doyle onto that as well. You wouldn't want that list growing too much more. So I'm sure that's kind of in the forefront of Liam Call's mind as well when he's selecting his 26 for Sunday.
Yeah, and then you're sort of thinking, as I made at the start of discussion here, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to go to Cork and maybe not come out with the 2 points. If you're looking to get your 2 points and the guaranteed your 2 points over the next 2 games, it's awfully away. Get them in the bank. You want to be competitive against Cork. I was like, I do think if there's one game Tip will be targeting in the league this year, it's the Limerick game on the 21st of February, and I think Limerick will be targeting that too. I think for any Tip supporter, if you're looking to nail down one game to go to in the league, I think that's going to be I think that's going to be a barn burner now on the 21st in Semple Stadium.
Yeah, because Tip will be coming into that off, is it a 2-week break, so they'll have time
the fits will be over. Like they'll be Liam will have everybody. Well, he'll have full control of his panel at that stage.
Yeah. So it'll feel like maybe the start for Liam Carroll and some of the players were right. Now we can really focus on what we're doing. And it's like Ken Hogan mentioned it on Extra Time this week that it's 12 weeks away from championship. That's not long coming around, and when you've 3 games in 3 weeks and fits and things like that to kind of worry about, that knocks off a good month of it straight away. And then you're focusing on the latter stages of the league, and then suddenly you're 2 weeks away from your build up to the Munster Championship. So it's going to come thick and fast. And that'll be a really important game as well, because Tip will be away for the next 2 games. That Limerick game is at home, so there you go. There should be a swell of supporters there for that one.
Yeah, and like it is the 3 games in 15 days to start it, but after the Cork game, it's nearly every fortnight after that. Even including if you don't get to a league final, you have 4 weeks to get ready for the Munster Championship. So like it's get through, get past Saturday week. Hopefully, not too much damage done in terms of confidence or injuries or things like that. They'll be motoring nicely. Just in terms of dangerous to read too much into round one of all the other counties or even contenders. What was any takes that you took from last weekend's action?
Yeah, well, like obviously Cork were the big one in terms of their victory and manner of it. But like the biggest thing that I took from that game was how good Páirc Uí Chaoimh looked last weekend, considering what we saw on Saturday night in Thurles, which just the field was fairly wet. And then Sunday, you can see Mark Coleman running up the field, hopping the ball off the ground, which I nearly stood up when I saw it, because I was like, what? I couldn't believe how good the pitch looked down on Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So when Tip do go down there, that'll be an adjustment, because lads wouldn't have played on surface like that unless they've been playing, doing a bit of training in Feathertown Park or something. They wouldn't have had.
I'd be nearly thinking Tip will be going to an all-weather. I would think maybe training maybe one of the nights next week just to get a kind of a speed session, even though it runs the risks of muscle injuries and stuff like that. But then you look at Cork, to go from that up to Pearse Stadium next Saturday night, like you think the Pearse Stadium looked actually in great nick for the Mayo football, the Galway Mayo game last, but then it's energy sapping when it's not a firm surface. So like that'll be a transition for them now this week.
Yeah, and whatever condition pitches were in last weekend, they certainly haven't improved with the week of weather we're after having. So I think Tullamore, people have said that it's a kind of dry enough pitch for Sunday. So we'll see. I remember when Tip led Offaly there in the championship a couple of years ago, that was the Thunder and Lightning game, and it was fairly wet around the place that day. But elsewhere last weekend, Cork were impressive. Clare and Dublin seemed to be a right game in Cusack Park. And again, hopefully that pitch is in good condition for tomorrow. But Cork is an interesting one just to see what way they'll go. Declan Dalton in at full forward. He's a real handful. I really like Declan Dalton, and he comes in for criticism at times, for maybe final performances and things like that. But he's one of those players that if he gets a yard, he's one of the most powerful strikes you'll see. So he's a real danger. So you kind of watch on to Cork to see what way things will change. Of course, we didn't see Limerick last week. Waterford were down a few. Kilkenny, you never kind of really know exactly what you're getting in the early parts of the league. They kind of build into the thing a little bit slower maybe. But yeah, it's been a good start, and it's kind of coming thick and fast now. It's week on week and plenty to look out for. But yeah, that's kind of how I saw it. And overall, as I mentioned at the start, I was very impressed with Galway and kind of their newcomers.
Yeah. It's hard to know what Cork, as I thought, whether it was the pitch or what, Watford seemed to come. Watford, God, they were so poor in the first 10 or 15 minutes. So I take maybe in terms of Cork, I'd say they were just glad to get the win to get the monkey off the back from last year. But I think we'll get a better read on Cork, I think, this Saturday night against Galway, even though if you're a Galway fan, you'd be a little wary. Like all these young Galway lads here now, patting in the back, God, it was a great performance. Like, will they still bring that same rabid sort of hunger this Saturday night at home? They should do, but you're always wary of a young team that will they bring the same edge now when Cork come up on Saturday night? So that'll be a tricky one for Micheál Donoghue to make sure of.
Yeah, that's a tough start for Galway when you think about it. Like, you know, away and at home to All Ireland finalists from last year.
Yeah, and like if you look at Waterford, like if Limerick coming, and we're all expecting Limerick to be a bit rabid this year, like if Waterford cop another heavy loss like that, even though they still have players to come back, like it's just eating into confidence as well. Like, so it could be a tough league for them. And then you say I thought that the big one for me was the Clare Dublin game. I fancy Dublin maybe to break Kilkenny stranglehold in Leinster this year. I like what I see, and their manager has his first full year looking after them, no Fina distractions. And like Clare put out a very, very strong team, and like Dublin took them all the way to the final whistle. Like, so I like what I saw there. Like, so I think Clare will be dangerous, and like I think Clare and Dublin would have been pretty pleased what they got out of last weekend. Like, Clare got the win, but Dublin got the performance away from home, and like they'll be expected to beat Kildare. I'd say you'll see a Clare Dublin final in Division 1B. Like Wexford, the fact that they only scraped over Antrim, I think it's going to be a tough year for Wexford. Like, I think with the amount of players they've lost, I don't know. I just think it'll be Clare. I think Clare and Dublin will meet again in the final.
Yeah, and it was a really good game as well, watching it back. And you know, for Clare supporters, it was a great finish to the game with Tony Kelly getting kind of the winning goal, with just a brilliant strike. The way he's able to get at that little bit of space to really open up and leather the ball for that goal was impressive. Just with Limerick as well, you kind of I don't know where I heard it, someone saying, "Oh God, if Limerick don't win it this year, that they might win one for years to come." But like, they've so many good young lads coming through that I don't see that at all. Like, you know, Adam English, particularly, like, you know, you've seen Adam English for the last few years, but really up close, we saw him before Christmas there in Feathertown Park, and like, he is really classy hurler, brilliant first touch, can really move with the ball. So you have him coming through. You know, Colin Coughlin is someone who feels like he's been there for 4 or 5 years. He's, you know, still in college, and a big strong kind of wing back coming through. Kyle Hayes is obviously still there. Cathal O'Neill, Shane O'Brien is becoming a big problem for everyone outside of Limerick, because he's really, really hard to handle, and big, physical, brilliant hurler, loads of speed for the size of him as well. So like, Limerick have so much talent. I don't think that it kind of goes without saying, but I wouldn't be kind of banking on them going away anytime soon.
No, definitely. And like it looks like they're going to go Will O'Donoghue at 6, which means I think a huge cog in the wheel for me is Darragh O'Donovan. If he can get back in the middle of the field, I think O'Donovan makes Aaron Gillane. Aaron Gillane is a better player than Darragh O'Donovan. O'Donovan knows where the ball goes to Gillane without even looking. Like, and I thought Limerick missed something in the middle of the field last year when he wasn't there. Like, while Adam English is very, very good, I think English might go better at centre forward. And maybe if you went O'Donovan, Keane Lynch in the middle of the field, and maybe Cathal O'Neill maybe at 5. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Dermot Burns is nailed on for there anymore. I think Con O'Neill has an injury history. That's the problem with. But if O'Neill is fit, he has to be in the team somewhere, and maybe he goes at, if it's not at 12, he goes at 5.
Yeah, like, there's John Kiley has an awful lot of options in that kind of middle third as well. So yeah, like, Cathal O'Neill has been in around there the last couple of years, but he said he's kind of hasn't got that run of a full season without kind of been in and out of the team injury wise or otherwise. So yeah, there is lots of I suppose, kind of 50 calls, but decisions for John Kiley to make, and it will be interesting to see how they line up for all the league games and coming into championship. But like when you're naming out the players there, I was naming out some of the younger lads, but then you look at the likes of Aaron Gillane, Keane Lynch, and all them, and suddenly it's like, okay, this is a very good team. So it'd be interesting to see how
they could do with maybe one or two new fresh faces really pushing in. And I'm not saying Colin Coughlin. I'm saying like your man Donncha Dálaigh has been there, but he hasn't shoved himself in. Like it's Peter Casey is still there. They could, or one of the Fitzgeralds that we've seen play for Ardscoil Reach. Like they could really do a one or two of those guys really putting pressure on the starting 15 now.
Yeah, you need that. Like you need that with all the intercounty teams. It keeps everyone on their toes and knowing that, God, maybe this guaranteed start isn't there, and I really have to up my game. And like you'll see that with Tipperary this week. I'd imagine the likes of a Jason Ford watching on was probably thinking, right, I need to be at my best when I get my chance, just to make sure that I'm thereabouts, because there is so much talent coming through. And just back to Tipperary very quickly. I wonder, could we see just the fact that a lot of the Tipperary younger lads would be very familiar with this Offaly team from meeting them at different stages? Could this be a nice way to get some of those lads a first start? So I mentioned Adam Daly and Cathal English, but Joe Egan, like, is he up to speed yet? Could they put him in that middle third, half forward line, midfield kind of direction? That could be a nice way to get lads into the starting 15 for a game in the league, just because you're going to be marking a lad you've marked loads of times before, and it's maybe not as daunting.
Definitely again, in terms of, like, I would think this is probably a game where you kind of go the 10-5 route again in terms of experience, and like the Adam Daly's and like Josh Keller's been there for a couple of years now. I wouldn't say I think he'd stand up well, and like Peter McGarry sort of really shot from the fringes into starting in an All-Ireland quarter-final last year. So that's another game for him. So yeah, I'd be expecting, like, Adam Daly's playing Fitz as well. And I'd be expecting changes. I'd say probably no more than maybe, assuming, like, you'd have to think Robert Doyle is out and Joe Caesar's they'll probably not take risks there. There'll be at least two. I would say maybe 3 or 4 more after that. And maybe with one eye on Cork the following week, and just with how firm that surface is down there, you'd want a good few lads fresh. Like, you won't want.
Yeah, like, I wonder, will Jake start, or Andrew Orman? Maybe one of those two mightn't start. Or there is big decisions there. I wouldn't like to be picking the team anyway.
Absolutely, but I suppose before that, the one I'm looking forward to this weekend, and probably you, Paul, is that the Dr. Hardy Cup final on Saturday in Cusack Park in Ennis. Nina CBS up against St. Flannan's College. Like, really looking forward to this. Like, I think when we were there 2 years ago against Ardscoil Reach, I think it was around 3,500 there. I'd be expecting probably maybe 5,000-6,000. It'd be a cracking atmosphere. Two teams that know each other. They met in the group stage at the start of the year. That was a draw. They met in that Dean Ryan final 2 years ago, but there's no correlation. There's guess the amount of lads that are not there. Obviously, maybe guys that were in 5th year in school and have since gone on to college. So there's a lot of guys who weren't even doing TY back then. So look at, and you'd have to think ordinarily, you'd say got to be a bit of grumbling, Nina having to go play Ennis practically in their own backyard. But no, I think it's the one thing about this Nina group, like the kind of like the challenge when it's laid out to them. They've come through a really, really tough, like, every match this year they've played in their group. They played 3 schools at each one, the Harty since 2018, then got Middleton in probably the toughest quarter final they could get. Maybe it was Middleton, and then had Thurles. Like, you'd have to say they've earned their way to this final.
Oh, they definitely have, yeah. And that when you mentioned that with the group now, the Cashel game was a bit, all over the place for a finish, given that Nina thought they had to win by a certain amount, and it turned out they didn't. But otherwise, there's been real difficult tests the whole way up along, and the team has kind of grown. And change position-wise and all that throughout, but I can't wait now for this one tomorrow in Ennis. And yeah, there is that kind of feeling of nice memories for everyone heading back. And talking to Owen Doohan, he was even saying that, you know, they do have good memories going back. He was one of the few lads that played that day that'll be playing tomorrow, but obviously that won't count for much when the ball is thrown in. So this Nina team has a really good following. I think the kind of whole Harty Cup feeling around the school has really grown, particularly since 2 years ago. There's a real kind of buzz, I'd say, around the games and all the supporters going and making loads of noise at the matches. So there's huge excitement and really looking forward to it. And funnily, with the way it was done with the draw, that the fact the game is in Ennis, I'd wonder if the game was in Thurles. You know, I don't think Thurles will be able for 2 games this weekend, so it would either be that or the footballers that would be moved out of Thurles if it was on there this weekend. So the fact it's on in Ennis is no problem, I suppose, for Nina people at the minute, considering where they were 2 years ago as well. But yeah, really looking forward to it. It was a draw when they met in the group stages. This is a Nina team that, you know, you could say maybe on paper is as good, maybe if not more deep than the one from 2 years ago, maybe. Now, just that's only kind of a feeling, but of course Darren McCarthy was on the team 2 years ago, and some other really good players as well. But I can't wait for this one. The atmosphere and all that is always top notch at a Harty Cup final, but it's a chance now for Nina. John won that 1 2 years ago, but haven't had any other success in the Harty Cup, so to have 2 in 3 years would be really, really special. Loads of clubs represented, loads of versatile players on the team as well. The fact that, you know, it's maybe not a set 15 in terms of where everyone is playing. What will they do with Patrick Ryan? Shane Cleary is someone that can move up and down a lot of positions as well. And there's a few other players. Austin Duff can move around the place as well. Owen Doohan himself is another one of those players. So so much to like, so much to kind of wonder how the teams will line up. But yeah, I can't wait for this one tomorrow in Zimmer Biomet Park Kisog, which doesn't really roll off the tongue for match commentators. But can't wait for this one. Yeah,
Paul's line is just frozen. Yeah. Just looking ahead, I suppose there is. I suppose it looks it. I suppose the word is starting to spread that Billy O'Brien, I think, is a major injury now for Nina. Like, he would be a loss now. Just his experience, an All-Ireland minor winner 2 years ago. Like, he was one of the, I think it's himself, Owen Doohan, Austin Duff, and Patrick Ryan went down to Nolan Park in similar circumstances and won an All-Ireland. So, like, that bit of experience, like going into the lines then of Cusick Park and Flannan's is only, I think it's only 10-minute walk away. Like, so, like, it wouldn't have phased him. So you're looking at possible who comes in there. It's hard to know. Like,
I was saying the last day anyway, coming on at half time.
Absolutely, you're probably looking at him really, like, and was like, and then I would say, like, Cusick Park is a brilliant surface. I think it plays into the hands of Joe O'Dwyer. Like, I thought Tipperary, as well as the pitch held up, it doesn't play to his skill set. Ennis is a wide pitch. Like, do you think Joe O'Dwyer should be able to come into his own? Now, remember 2 years ago when Nina won it, like, there was a lot of scoring pressure on Darren McCarthy, but like Owen Doohan chipped in with 3 points, Kieran Foley, Mason Colley, they had big games. Like, I think if Nina are to win this, they need an Austin Duff who got a goal that day. They need, I think, Paul Cahalan. I think he's ready to explode. And like, we've seen how good Patrick Hackett is. He's able to score, but like, I think there's a game where Patrick Hackett's going to explode in terms of finishing with 1-4, 1-5. Like, he's been in brilliant form.
Yeah, he's been kind of a focal point for that team as well, just kind of an anchor around where the attacks are going through, and so good at holding up the ball. Like, seen him with the Tip Miners last year. He was kind of centre back, and you didn't see that side of his game, and to see that ability he has in winning that ball and using his body really well, that's so important, particularly this time of the year where, you know, the ball isn't skidding into you, bouncing up for you nicely. It's usually sticking in the ground, and you need to use your body to go between the ball and the defender. So he's been a huge asset, and he's well able to take a score as well. That first score he got up in Tipperary in the semi-final was a lovely strike. So you're going to need heroes from all over the field to win a final. So even at the other end of the field as well, like against Our Ladies Templemore, Flannan's made a couple of changes and kind of two kind of big lads come on into the full forward line, and Our Ladies weren't able to handle it that day. So the likes of Darrow Dwyer, you think he'd have to have a good game back in that full back line as well to hold them up. So there's lots of interesting matchups all over the fields, and you're going to need scores from everywhere. Maybe a few Patrick McCormick's long range frees and things like that. They all need to go your way in a final. The pedigree, the tradition, and all that is with St. Flannan's. They're at home, and it'll take a real good performance to beat them. A load of really experienced players themselves from successful Clare minor teams the last couple of years as well. So, like from my own point of view, Johnny Grace, Paulie Callan, and Joe Dwyer, from Burgess' point of view, if we could get good games from those lads, those are the type of players you need to kind of stand up on a final to assist the likes of an Owen Dohan and maybe some of the more experienced players.
Yeah, like I wouldn't underestimate maybe the bit of hunger that'll be in that Flannan's team, having lost the final to Thurles last year.
Yeah,
last year they drew with Thurles in round one and lost the final. So I think Anina kind of be hoping it works in their favour again. And yeah, you mentioned matchups and little things like Paddy McCormick. Like you're thinking any free inside 100 yards is depending on how there's a breeze. Like it's a scoring opportunity for him. You're probably looking at Darrow Dwyer. Probably will go to full back like they're young O'Connor at full forward. Like he was the one that turned that quarter final against Templemore when he came on. So you think Darrow Dwyer will be set with him, and maybe Shane Cleary probably go up in the wing on Harry Doherty, I would think, because like they have the ability to mix the team around, and maybe Johnny Grace go centre back, but then I'd say Johnny Grace has the size to match up with Harry Doherty as well. So it'd be fascinating to see what to do with Shane Cleary, whether to leave him at 6 or send him after Flannan's probably talisman.
I'd say we'll probably see everything that you just mentioned there. I'd say it won't be one thing that will go the whole way from start to finish. I'd imagine they'll be switching over and back until they find whatever works. So they do have options, and talking to Donnock O'Donnell, mentioned how kind of versatile the team is, and there's a lot of players that can move into different positions, but that gives its own headaches as well, because you look a fool then if you move a lad to one place and God, she should have been played in this place. So lots to kind of ponder over for the Nina management team. And I'd say there's lots of lads from that Flannan's team that take watching. So matchups will really be key as they tend to be on the big day.
Yeah, and again, it's a remarkable competition in that, okay, both teams will go to the quarterfinals, and Croke Park on St. Patrick's Day is still there, but that the Harty is the one. Like this, the year will be seen as, even if one of them goes on to win the All-Ireland, and I even say from Nina CBS back in 2012 when they won the All-Ireland, but it's still great that they lost the Harty, like, and the Harty is the one that you'll carry with you through the rest of your lives. So like that's how I know a lot of the Flanagan, Kieran's College people listening to this would say, God, what are they talking about? But it's called the Harty, really. It's not called the Hart. Like you said, the Harty. I played Harty. It's nearly a badge of honor, like playing county minor, like the Harty. I played Harty, like so.
Yeah, no, it carries that weight of what 100 plus years of tradition. So, this is it. Like, you get to play in a Harty Cup final once if you're lucky. For a couple of lads, it's their second Harty Cup, and similar for Flannan's. Like they won't want to end their career saying, I played in 2 Harty Cup finals and we were beaten in the 2 of them. So, it's really set up now to be an exciting game. Like 1 o'clock on Saturday really can't come quick enough.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. Like, and it's a good time for Tipperary schools hurling. St. Joseph's Borrisley, probably by the time this gets out up in air, they'll have played Dungarvan in the C final. And I mentioned earlier on the show that Tip schools are in the A and the B senior football finals next week. Just shows you like it's not just hurling, like the coaching, and I think particularly that link in with Setanta College and our academy structure and hurling and football, and particularly on the S&C side, I definitely think I don't think we can underestimate the importance of all that. Like I just think we and definitely with Kevin Halley stepping up as games manager a couple of years ago, we just seem to have our ducks in a row at Underage in terms of having our players prepared as well as they can be in terms of S&C, and like it's up to that. After that, it's up to the management teams in terms of maybe their skills and their the game plans in terms of we seem to have the basic platform through S&C in both hurling and football at the moment at academy level.
Yeah, and like it's really good how it's worked out. I remember just thinking back a few years ago when you're sitting down and we spoke with Kevin Halley and a few more about how the underage development was going. And I remember that day kind of leaving thinking, God, that's really good how they've integrated the schools into everything, because you think of an academy and in my head I'm thinking, right, how do you get 100 odd young lads up to Dr. Morris Park every week and get the training into them? And God, that's expensive. It's maybe not that practical. And then they mentioned how they really wanted to get in the schools and have the schools be really a big part of the development. So that switch, whether there was a switch there or whether they integrated a bit better with the underage development squads, it just makes sense. You kind of see these schools now, Thurles CBS, Nina CBS, John, we've seen Cashel, we've seen them all. I don't want to name them all, but how important they've been in developing players, because we've seen it with Tipperary at senior level now. There is that lineage of the lads who played with Cashel in 2023 are progressing up to senior now. A couple of lads from Thurles, and obviously Nina 2 years ago with Darren McCarthy, and a few more of those lads are starting to progress up the ranks. So there is that kind of lineage there that, okay, the Harty is where you kind of need to start. And likewise, so good that it's kind of happening in the football now as well. And whether this is just a once in a kind of decade thing, we saw Clonmel get to the final in 2016, but it kind of feels like there's more to it than that, because Tip has been very competitive in minor and under 20 football in recent years, and kick of a ball and an unfortunate free given against them in is that's how close they got to getting to a Munster under 20 football final last year as well. So things are moving well, but I'm always conscious that they're going well now, but what's the under 14 team looking like at the minute? You kind of want to keep that going. You don't want to take the foot off the gas at all.
Yeah, you mentioned Clonmel, like Paddy O'Gorman in the school, like he's bleeds football, and he's the David Power in there at the moment. Like David Power is you gotta say David Power, like he just has something with developing players. Like he's in with UL at the moment. They're in a Sigerson semi. He's with the Tip Ladies football. He's their manager. Like his wife and kids mustn't see him at the moment. Like
he's probably busier now than when he was the Tip senior football manager.
Yeah, like he's just a great guy, and like he just seems to know how to develop players, and like we touched on the ladies footballers. They had a great win last week away to Wexford to start of the league, so they're round 2 there at home to Cavan on Sunday in Clonmel, looking to make it 2 wins out of 2. So yeah, it might be, we're still in January, but it is a hectic time of the year. And I suppose the Tip Minor Camogie team there in All Ireland Championship action, they start off against Cork. I'm just going to, as we go to, there was a change of venue. I think I got a notice that it's not in the rag. 1 second there. So up to date. I think I saw something there earlier on. We'll get it right.
Had a brilliant win last weekend against Cork in Camogie as well. So Tip have kind of been beat by Cork a lot in underage the last couple of years. So
absolutely, and it was a big win too. Like so. Yeah. 1 second, I'll try and find it. It said there was a venue change, so I wonder where it is. Like if the rag is unplayable, it's a bad sign. It's usually a very, very good surface. So venue is gone to MIC in Thurles. Yeah, so Tip against Tip and Cork in the first round of the Minor A All Ireland Championship. It's in an MIC pitch in Thurles, 2:00 on Sunday. So yeah, busy time with, and the senior Camogie team, they're about 2 weeks away from starting their league as well. So big year for James Heffernan, new manager, and his crew. So all that and more to come. So that is about it for a busy Tipcast. We'll be back next week to review it all. My thanks to Paul Carroll. Bye for now.